Trump dropped a bombshell this week when he released the transcripts of his phone call with Ukraine, and the Democrats are going crazy over it. One of the reasons they're going crazy is because Trump mentioned Crowdstrike, and I'll read what he said. Trump said, he's talking to the president of Ukraine here, "I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot." He's meaning the whole Russian hoax and the investigation for the last 3 years. That's what he's talking about. And Ukraine knows a lot about it. "I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine." They say Crowdstrike. Crowdstrike is an internet security company. They were founded by this guy in Ukraine, Dmitri Alperovitch. I think that's how you say it. It was funded by a Ukrainian oligarch, Viktor Pinchuk, who is reportedly very anti-Russian. Okay, because Ukraine and Russia have a lot of tension between each other. I didn't know this when I was looking into this. This is a bombshell. Crowdstrike is the only source that said Russia hacked the DNC and Hillary's emails. They are the only source that said Russia hacked the DNC emails, obtained the Hillary emails, and gave the Hillary emails to WikiLeaks. That's what Crowdstrike said. Okay? So whenever you hear, and we heard this in 2017, I would hear it so often on the news, or any Democrat pundit or Democrat politician, they would say, well, 17 U.S. intelligence agencies say that Russians hacked Hillary's emails, or Russia hacked our elections, which meant hacked Hillary's emails and released them to WikiLeaks. All those, it actually wasn't 17 intelligence agencies, it was only 3 intelligence agencies. The FBI, I believe the FBI, CIA, and DNI. And they didn't know either, those 3. I didn't know that until now. I knew about, it wasn't 17, it was only 3. But those 3 actually didn't have firsthand knowledge. They got that information from Crowdstrike. Crowdstrike told them. The FBI didn't have access to the servers because they asked the DNC, can we have the servers? And the DNC said, no, you can't have the servers. Debbie Wasserman Schultz said, no, we're not giving them to you. And they gave them to Crowdstrike instead. And the FBI, the CIA, and the DNI took Crowdstrike's word for it. And the Mueller investigation, they took Crowdstrike's word for it. None of them had firsthand knowledge. So anytime you hear anybody say, oh, 17 agencies, or they won't say 3 agencies, but when they say 17 agencies, no, 0 agencies. Crowdstrike, that's who said it. Now, Crowdstrike, as I said, is an internet cybersecurity company. They were started by Dmitri Alperovitch and funded by this rich Ukrainian guy, Viktor Pinchuk, who hates Russia, and funded by Google, $100 million investment by Google. The same Google who had executives cry when Hillary lost, the same Google who was caught by Project Veritas on hidden camera, some Google executives saying, yeah, we're actually trying to make Trump lose in 2020. That's our goal. They were caught. And you can see anytime you do a Google search, I hardly even do Google searches anymore for politics because it's just so one-sided. You see all left-wing sources. Anyway, Google is definitely in the tank for the Democrats. They funded Crowdstrike, and the DNC gave the servers to Crowdstrike to analyze. At least that's the story. That's what the DNC said. Crowdstrike reported back to them, officially, the Russians did it. It was the Russians who hacked these servers. I'm going to prove they're lying. The first one is, WikiLeaks said it wasn't Russia. WikiLeaks said it was Seth Rich. Now, who knows who gave WikiLeaks the emails? Only WikiLeaks knows that. If somebody gave you $100, you know who gave you the $100. You don't have to guess. You don't have to analyze or send away to a security firm or an investigator. You saw them give it to you. So you know, WikiLeaks knows, and they've said on multiple occasions it's not Russia. They have said it's Seth Rich. There was a recording of a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, Seymour Hersh, saying it was Seth Rich, and WikiLeaks retweeted that audio conversation. I'll put that audio conversation in the comments. So they're retweeting it to say, yes, it was Seth Rich. It wasn't Russia. So we know Crowdstrike is lying. But further, the credibility of Crowdstrike is horrible because in 2015, there was a skirmish between Ukraine and Russia, and Crowdstrike tried to claim that Russia hacked all these devices of the Ukrainians, and because of that, were able to take control, take out a lot of their artillery. But the problem was that they massively exaggerated how much damages Ukraine suffered, and Ukraine even said they didn't hack our devices. These devices were offline. They weren't even on the internet, so they weren't even capable of being hacked. So Crowdstrike made that up. All these media outlets ran with the story. Reuters, AP, New York Times, Washington Post, they all ran this story. Oh, Russia, look at Russia. They're hacking. They hacked all these devices of the Ukrainians. They're building up the narrative of Russia just hacking everybody and doing all these nefarious things, but it wasn't true. And the reason we know it's not true is because the government of Ukraine knows how much losses they had, and it was way less than what Crowdstrike said. And they know these devices are offline, so they said this is not true. And then Crowdstrike had to retract it. Crowdstrike admitted it. They said, no, it wasn't true. But did you see these news outlets retract their story? Probably not. So they ran with that narrative of Russia's hacking everybody. And by the way, this is the same thing Crowdstrike said about the DNC servers. They said, we know the Russians hacked your servers because this is the same pattern as we saw when Russia hacked Ukraine's military devices. But that was false. They didn't hack the military devices. So they got caught lying twice. They got caught lying on the military devices. They got caught lying on the servers. We know because WikiLeaks said it wasn't Russia. WikiLeaks said it was Seth Rich. So this company is lying all over the place. This is the company the DNC used to investigate the servers, to figure it out. And the DNC probably knew it was Seth Rich. They probably wanted an alibi. They didn't want them to know this was Seth Rich, especially if allegedly the DNC had Seth Rich killed. They don't want people to know that Seth Rich was the leaker. If in fact the DNC had Seth Rich killed, they want people to think it's somebody else. So pin it on the Russians. That's great. And then create a whole nother narrative. Say it was Russia that hacked it. Not only was it Russia that hacked it, but Donald Trump was involved. He solicited Russia's help. And that Donald Trump is going to give preferential treatment to Russia because they helped him to hack the emails. That's their narrative. No proof at all. Totally made up. And the Crowdstrike saying it was Russia, also totally made up. And they ran that for 3 years and they're still running it. Anytime you see Seth Rich mentioned in the media, they'll say that's a conspiracy theory. That's been debunked. Hasn't been debunked. WikiLeaks said it was Seth Rich. They're covering up a lot here. We still don't know who killed Seth Rich. Donna Brazil said she closed the blinds in her room after Seth Rich was killed. Why would she do that? She thinks she's going to get sniped. So she had suspicions that the DNC killed Seth Rich. She thought that, an insider. That's a very dumb thing for her to say on camera. If they're trying to do a big cover-up, that's a very stupid thing to say, but the media didn't investigate that. The media is in on this. They're all in on it with this hoax. We got a lot of journalist malpractice, but Seth Rich was the leaker. And I'm not going to say the DNC had him killed, but doesn't that make sense? That makes a lot of sense. So if they had him killed, of course they don't want people thinking he was the leaker, because obviously that creates motive. He leaked and now he gets killed 3 weeks later? That's very suspicious. So they're going to send the server to Crowdstrike, and don't tell us it was internal. Don't tell us it was somebody downloading onto a thumb drive. We want you to tell us something else. Oh, Russia? Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, fine. Create that narrative. Then we'll even go further and try to pin that on Trump. And Crowdstrike, you tell our intelligence agencies, you feed them this bad information. It was Russia that hacked. You feed them that. And then we'll also feed them the Steele dossier, which was also fake. Then we'll have our media run with it. Then we'll try to pin it on Trump. And then we'll start a phony investigation, create a lot of innuendo. We'll have Rachel Maddow making up stories every night. And then we'll just try to overwhelm people. We'll just beat them over the head with this narrative. And that's what they did. And it all came to nothing with the Mueller report. They had nothing. Even with all this fakery, they had nothing. And they had to admit it. So this is why the Democrats are freaking out. This is a huge freak out. I was surprised about this reaction. And because Trump mentioned Crowdstrike, and because he said in this phone call, he says, I would like you to get to the bottom of it. As you saw yesterday, that whole nonsense ended with a very poor performance by a man named Robert Mueller. So he's saying the Mueller report ended. It was total garbage. I want you to help get to the bottom of this. Crowdstrike, figure it out. What happened there? They're obviously involved. They're obviously lying. He doesn't believe them. And he wants Ukraine to help Bill Barr because Bill Barr's investigating it. So we'll see where this goes. It seems like the Ukrainian president was very forthcoming and was going to help. So we'll see where that goes. Keep praying, patriots. But this is a great tweet that The Last Refuge sent out. Expose the false narrative created by Clinton, DNC, FBI, and CrowdStrike about the DNC server, and the vast Russia collusion conspiracy interference collapses. That's what they're trying to do. Catastrophic for the deep state actors who created the ruse. Who would that be? Well, we saw Patrick Byrne. If you see I put a video in the comments, Patrick Byrne is pointing to James Comey, Jim Clapper, and John Brennan as people behind it. Not just them, I'm sure. McCabe, Strzok. A lot of intelligence agency people involved. CrowdStrike, DNC, Hillary, the media. Who else is involved? Probably lots of people. DNC servers were never hacked. That's why they're freaking out. Barr and Trump are getting close. They're right over the target.